In previous session, we have already learned about the animal fibers, animals that yield wool, and the extraction of wool. Now in today's session, we will learn about the second animal fiber, that is silk. Let us start with introduction. See, silk fiber, it is also the animal fiber. Silk is one of the highest prized fiber because of its shining and luster. Okay, silk has the shining and luster. All of you have seen the silk saris. So that saris have the shining and luster. So it is good fabric for both winters and summer due to its heat resistant nature. So the life cycle of the silkworm it begins when the female silk moth lays egg. See in this figure, in this picture, this A is the male silk moth, B is the female silk moth, C is the eggs on the mulberry leaves, D is the silkworm. So the life cycle of this silkworm begins when the female silk moth lays egg. After about 20 days, the larvae or the caterpillar that start hatching from that eggs. Then they are known as the silkworms or the caterpillars. See, the life cycle of silkworm begins when the female silk moth lays egg. After laying eggs, after about 20 days, the larvae come out from that egg. So that larvae is known as silkworms or the caterpillars. So these caterpillars start hatching from eggs. Okay. These silkworms feed on the fresh mulberry leaves. On that leaves, they grow in size. They secrete the fine filaments from the glands on their heads. Okay, they can grow on the leaf of the fresh mulberry leaves, and on that leaves they grow in size. After that, they can secrete some of the fine filament like structure from the glands on their heads. Their heads possess some of the glands which can secrete the filaments. So these filaments are made up of protein which hardens to form the silk fiber when exposed to air. So whenever these filaments, that is that protein, whenever exposed to air, at that time it becomes hard, and from that we get the silk. Okay, so the silkworm deposits these filaments in number of concentric layer around its body. So it's around its body it can deposits these filaments through the figure of 8 movements of the head. Means the head goes in one side and other side. By that movement they can deposit the filaments over their body. So this results in the formation of structure known as cocoon. So which is about 3 to 7 days. So inside that cocoon, the silkworms enters the second stage of its life. Okay, so in that cocoon, the pupa is developed into the moth. Okay, in that cocoon, the pupa are developed in the second stage. So in nature, this life cycle occurs once in a year. But whenever certain experimental setups are there, under experimental setup, it can occur up to 3 times in year. Okay, so we can repeat this life cycle under experimental setup in 3 times in a year. So this is all about the introduction and about the life cycle of the silk moth. The next one is the production of silk and the properties of silk. So how the silk is produced and what are the properties of that produced silk? See, the raising of silkworms in order to obtain the silk for the commercial purpose. Okay, so that raising of silkworm is called as sericulture. So the production of silk is very slow and it is the gradual process. So there are many species of the silkworms which can produce the silk, but among them the most important species of silkworm is Bombyx mori. Okay, so this species is most widely used. The silk is continuous filament fiber which consists of protein. That protein is known as fibroin. Okay, the protein which is present in the filament of the silk is known as fibroin, and the gum which is over there is called as sericin. So the fibroin, that is that protein, prepares the silk filaments, and the sericin cements these two filaments together. The function of sericin is to bind or to cement the two filaments. Okay, so these fibroin, that is protein, prepares silk filaments, and these two filaments are joined together with the help of sericin cement. So the sericin is removed by placing these cocoons in hot water. Whenever these cocoons are placed into the hot water, at that time these sericins, that means this cement, is get removed. So this process frees the silk filament and prepares them for the reeling. So there are certain stages which involve in the silk production are, see, the first stage is the silk moth, that is the Bombyx mori, lays egg on the mulberry tree. Okay, so these egg hatch into the caterpillars, that is silkworms. They feed chopped mulberry leaves. Okay, they can feed on that leaves, that means they can eat these leaves for 20 to 25 days. After that, whenever that silkworms are about 25 days old, then they become 10,000 times heavier than their first stage. Okay, so they now ready to spin the silk cocoon. Okay, then silk is produced from the silkworm's head and then forced out in a liquid form through the openings called spinnerets. Okay, that silk produces from the silkworm's head, and then it get forced out in a liquid form by the opening called as spinnerets. So the silk solidifies when it comes in contact with the air. So this silkworm completes its cocoon, which is of about 4 centimeter long, in 5 days by producing the 600 to 1200 meters of silk filaments. That means that cocoon which is secreted by their head, that filaments, these are of about 600 to 120 meters of length. So these cocoons are then put into the hot water so that to kill the worms as well as lose these filaments. That means that cement get removed and that filaments get loosed. So the some cocoons are preserved to get silkworms that can be used later for the breeding. Some of the cocoons are preserved, so we get the silkworms after sometimes. A single cocoon contains approximately 1000 yards of silk filament. So the silk at this stage is known as raw silk. Okay, so the silk fiber or the filament which we get from this cocoon is of raw stage or the raw silk. So the filaments from several cocoons are reeled off together to prepare a continuous strong thread. Just one thread consists of 48 individual silk filaments. Means by combining together 48 individual silk filaments, they can form one thread. Okay, so finally these threads are dried and the raw silk is reeled and packed according to the qualities. So this is all about the production of silk, how we get the silk. Okay, so the sericulture, which I have you told that is the raising of silkworms to obtain the silk. So this sericulture has been one of the most important cottage industry in the number of countries like the China, Korea, Japan, India, Brazil. So today China and India, these two are the main producers that can contribute to more than 60% of the silk in the world each year. Okay. So the next one is the properties of silk. See, all of you have seen the silk materials or the silk sarees which have the luster, shining. So what are the properties of that silk fiber? Silk has many qualities which are very, means they are set as apart from the other fibers. That means silk is lustrous, they can be dyed to different colors, as silk can absorb moisture, so we can feel comfortable wearing the silk dresses. Silk is not affected by the water, although the detergents and the perspiration can break down the fibers, but it cannot be affected by the waters. So the silk garments are light in weight, keep us warm. The next property of silk is silk garments can be worn both in summer as well as in the winter season. Also, the next property of silk is silk threads are as strong as the steel wires of the same diameter. So, moreover, they have the properties of elastic nature. Okay, so due to their elastic nature, silk can be combined and knitted with another fibers like wool, so to prepare the beautiful garments. So this is all about the properties of silk. Now, as the proper silk has certain properties, it can used in various dress materials or various kinds of clothes, but there are also certain drawbacks or the health hazards in related to the silk and the wool industry. So what are these? See, the first, in India many people can earn their livelihood, means many of the peoples can earn money by doing job in the industries of wool and silk. So these workers employed in these industries get adversely affected by many of the health issues or the health problems and diseases. So some of the serious health problems are, in that serious problem is, first one is the sorter's disease. See, the sorter's job in the wool industries, it is very risky. Why it is risky? So sometimes these peoples or these employees get infected by the bacterium. That bacterium is known as anthrax. So that anthrax bacterium is infected to that peoples and which causes the fatal blood disease. That disease is known as sorter disease. Okay, so by doing the job in that industry, they get certain hazardous effect on their health. This is all about the sorter disease. The next one hazardous effect is the workers whenever dip these cocoons for long hours in the boiling water for the extraction of silk. So in that case their skin becomes raw and blistered. Okay, due to that their skin becomes raw and blisters. The next problem is the silk industry workers inhale various kind of vapors which are arising from the cocoons in boiling water. So also during reeling, lot of fiber and other things are inhaled by them. So this results in the health problem like asthma, bronchial allergies and some of the related diseases. So this also causes the serious problem in their health. The next one is the handling of dead silkworms. Whenever they handle these dead silkworms with bare hands, they leads to the various kind of infections and the illness. The next one is the workers in weaving industries are exposed to various kind of noises which are made by the spinning and winding machines and looms. So this can also result in the hearing disorders. So working in poorly ventilated and the damp rooms can also causes various respiratory problems. So although these all are the hazardous effects of the silk and wool industry. Although research works are carried out all over the world to develop these silk and wool industries, very little has been done to improve the working conditions of the laborers of these industries. So the health professionals should find out the possible means in these regards. So this is all about the chapter, and in this way this chapter is also over. Thank you.